Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti and William Isley from Unlock Clarity, and welcome to the Spanish World Networks on Single TV channel 250. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. Where you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free and is available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. Today, we are going to be talking about a topic that is very interesting, very different a little bit. We continue with what we have been talking lately about the feminine energies of intimacy and gratitude. And we will put the name of Soul Mirrors, the pathways of intimacy and gratitude. So that's what we're going to talk today. How are you, William, today?
Doing well. Doing well. A nap could be nice, but otherwise I'm doing well.
So let's start with how we define intimacy, because I believe that is something very interesting, and that came from you, William. If you remember the part of into me, see,
Yes.
see into me. So if you want to expand on that area, that would be awesome, and then we can start with the next topics that we have.
Years ago, one of my therapists explained it to me that way. He talked about the act of intimacy as into me see, or to put it in English or more gooder language, see into me. And without that aspect of a relationship, is it really a relationship? If I'm not allowing someone to look into my soul, then there's a challenge with the relationship. It doesn't matter what relationship it is. It can be friends, it can be a significant other, whomever. And if I'm not willing to let them see into me, then do I really need to be around those people on a regular basis? Do they need to be the ones feeding my soul? Maybe not. And so this is one of those aspects of the energetic feminine that a lot of guys in my area just kind of like stay away from me with that shit. And our culture, in America anyway, possibly in the rest of the world, but in America, in the Ozarks, our culture has screwed us over as men because intimacy is for women. Yeah, that's a mistake, because business, life, friendships, if we don't allow someone to see who we are and then let that person be there for us and blah, 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 then we're pretty lonely. Seems to be the male culture in America, at least. We're pretty lonely most of the time.
And at the end, I believe that is everywhere. Well, at least in the places that I know, also in Latin America, that happens a lot. In Europe, happens a lot too. So I know this is not something that we're saying everyone, but there is very general, a good percentage of people or males are like that. So that's why we are connecting with this today. Like, okay, why intimacy is important, how that is going to help, how you can see into you, into me, and start to understand how that help you to create trust. And that is something key in everything that we are doing always is, okay, in business, one of the biggest thing that you create if you want to have a successful business is you need to create trust. And how you create trust if you don't have that type of vulnerability and openness? So that's
Here's the thing to consider that just occurred to me is what I've also learned in therapy is, and other places, if we don't have it, number one, we can't own it. And number two, we can't give it away. So if we don't know how to be intimate with ourselves and vulnerable with ourselves, how can we do that with anyone else?
Yeah.
And so then we can go back to business or life or wherever. And if we don't know how to have an introspective conversation with ourselves, we can't really do it with anyone else. So that's going
And
into fractured business relationships and everywhere else.
and this is where one of the metaphors that we were discussing and talking at the beginning was key. It's like we can consider the intimacy like a garden. Like, okay, it's a garden inside. It's that is your inner world, like, and that garden that is walled. How each flower that you have inside is a relationship, and how when you are watering that flowers that start to reflect all the intimacy that you share. So uh, do you are you open to see that, or it's like, no, I just see the wall and I don't see anything inside? Of course, because you are so blocked that you don't see it. And at the end, if we start to understand what is the meaning of, oh yeah, that's nice, Alejandro, you're talking about flowers and garden, I don't understand what are you talking about. Is like, okay, how you cultivate deep rooted relationships. That's the key of what we are saying here. Is like, and start with the relationship with yourself, like start to understand, like, okay, I want to be deep inside and start to understand how I can start to see into me, and how I can start to create that relationship. For example, last week I had a conversation about caring. I know that we already talked about caring in the past, but in the caring, I was doing the exercise with some friends, coaching friends, and something that I found in my case was, the first thing is that caring and the word of caring has to be with a, an action. I have to do something about it. Not only, yeah, I care. I care about everyone. Yeah, I care. But okay, what is the action that I am doing about that? If I am doing something or not. And with this intimacy, what I found in my case is, yes, I was carrying, for example, having a massage sometimes in my life, but only when I really needed to be in the high performance and not really to nourish myself in any point. Uh, so it's like, what are the things that you are doing? It's like, are you doing things to nourish yourself or only to keep you at the top level without thinking that you can care about yourself? You can have this garden of intimacy of, okay, I start to see it deep inside, like, okay, I am exhausted. What is happening? Let's start to dig deep. What is the exhaustion? What is happening inside of that? Of the or the overwhelm, anything that is happening. It's like, okay, start to open and start to see what is that is happening. Am I nourishing myself, my emotional being, my spiritual being, everything that is happening inside? Or like me, that I realized last week that I really wasn't really taking care of myself or having that intimacy with myself. Like, I just wanted to be like in the best possible way all the time. And if I have a back pain, it's like, okay, at this moment I am going to nourish myself because I have a back pain. But if I don't have any issue, no, I don't need, I have to keep going and going and going. So that's part of the intimacy that we are talking here. It's like having that awareness of understanding proactively and not reactively what is happening.
And that would lend itself to skipping forward to the gratitude section as well. It's like,
Yes.
okay, body, thank you for letting me know that something needs my attention, versus, oh, you sorry, blah, 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 which is what I do sometimes. It's not healthy, and the body doesn't react well for that when I yell at it.
And connecting with that gratitude for me is one of the biggest thing that I have learned, at least in this year, saying like, when I am grateful about the things that even that I don't like sometimes or I like, I can start to change the perspective and the perception of anything that is happening. So it's like, okay, I have a discussion with a business partner, and that business partner didn't connect with what I wanted to share, for example. So if I start to be, oh, but let's see, that business partner is really nice because is very he's always looking at the good side of the things. He always is pushing me to understand deeply what is the topic that I am saying, and I continue like learning about the good things and the things why I am grateful about that friend or that business partner, so I can start to see the good things and it's like, oh, it's good. But if I am so involved in my problem, like, okay, I don't like how he was talking to me and all the things that he was saying, and he doesn't allow me to express what I want and what I prefer, and doesn't allow me my flexibility. I don't know, whatever that I want to say. I just focus and I start to be in the low vibration that we have been talking a lot in this program of not really expanding. I start to contract. But if I am in the grateful side, I am looking for ways to connect and to express even the intimacy and express find the solutions to continue expanding that connection, that relationship, that business partner, all of that.
Absolutely. So it's almost as if you can't really separate these two, really. Intimacy and gratitude, they pretty much go together, because if I'm not looking at a self-discovery journey and how I'm growing with gratitude, then it's almost impossible to get to the intimate, to see inside myself and be intimate with me. It's amazing how these two work together.
Yes. So at the end, one of the things that we want to say about gratitude, it's a gift. And again, start with yourself. Okay, if you are complaining about yourself because you are so stupid that you didn't notice that, or I don't know, something that we start to say to ourselves, like, okay, look, you are not being aware about those things, or you don't take care about that, or you don't take action on that. And okay, start with the gratitude, start to see the good things that you have, start to enjoy what you have right now. And from that place, you can start to see the solutions. But and that's a gift really. What is the things that you are visualizing? If you are visualizing something, uh, and start to discover what are the things that you are visualizing. Uh, what are the circumstances that are creating any issue that you have? But start to see, like, okay, what is the gratitude? What is the good thing of uh, that thing? And really something amazing that I have been learning a lot is, by law, everything has two sides always, because the world is always in balance. That means that by law, if I am looking at something in a bad way, it's because by law there is something good about that. And it's my decision where I put my focus. And where I put my focus is exactly what I start to attract. So if I focus on the limiting belief or the limiting things or the things that are not helping me, I am attracting that. I see that everywhere. But if I start to go to the other side, and what helps me to go to the other side, one of the keys is the gratitude, because it's like, okay, Alejandro, I don't know how to see the bright side of this situation that I have right now. Start to see the what you are grateful about that situation, and that start to create the bridge to go to the other side, and understand that by law there is something amazing in the other side of that situation that you are living right now.
Yes. what came to mind as you were talking is the process of deciding to buy another car. Once you've decided on the type of car you want, you start seeing them everywhere. They were invisible before. And so if we start looking at gratitude, and one of the old phrases in 12 steps, the anonymous addictions movement, is it's all about an attitude of gratitude. If we do not have an attitude of gratitude, we don't survive. Um, and it's impossible to stay uh, away from food or alcohol or gambling or any of the other stuff, because if we're not grateful for where we are, we don't see the good in anything.
Yeah.
And so then,
So let's go to the action steps. Something that we want to say about everything that we have been talking is the fountain of thankfulness is something key for this, and it's like, what is the daily action that you want to do to start to replenish your life? And in the action steps, is the first one is exactly that. It's like, do you want to cultivate a daily practice? And we are not saying something that is very difficult, but for example, from the book of Atomic Habits, if you have a habit of something during the morning, anything that you do normally, what you need to do is uh, start to put this thing that we are saying, okay, 5 minutes daily, that you start to journaling or meditate or something about the intimate and the great gratitude that you have about that day can change everything. So that action step is the first one that we recommend.
absolutely. And one of the important ones is expressing as opposed to suppressing. Um, it's the culture that I grew up in was all about suppressing and not being open with feelings or anything like that, and therefore it shut off gratitude too. Talk to somebody, a friend you haven't talked to in a while. Um, re Rebuild that emotional connection if you've lost it.
The next one is be present. Is when you are with the people that you care, or even in a business meeting, or if you are, it's like put away every distraction. I was in the past, I was exactly like that. Like, okay, let's have a conversation, William. Yeah, just give me a second. And I am like with my cell phone and with other things because I am multitasking. I am so good that I am multitasking. The reality is that it's impossible to be present if you are watching your cell phone, if you are watching news, messages, or other things. So that's something important to start to create an intimacy. It's like how you can create intimacy with yourself if you are all the day with the cell phone, for example. So that's where everything changes.
And one of those things where when you're having a Zoom conversation or whatever, look into the eyes. And in this case of a Zoom conversation would be the camera. It's really difficult not to look at somebody's face, but listen deeply, which would require getting rid of distractions and things. And if you're anything like me, listening deeply is a challenge because of the ADHD thing. But another option, going back to the gratitude part, is a gratitude jar. Write down small things you're grateful for on different pieces of paper. Put them in the jar, and the separate pieces of paper in a jar. And on tough days, pull one out to remind yourself of how things were at one point in time, how good they were.
And the last point is going to be set intentions for the week. So start to put intentions of what do you really want for that week in regards of this. For example, the intimacy and the gratitude is like, what is the little step that you see in that week that can happen and can do a change? And we're not saying like, okay, if you never was in the intimacy and understanding that, it's okay. What is the little step that you can start, and you can start to open the door to start to do some changes in your life, and where you can start to practice this. So this is all for today. Thank you very much for the time. Thank you, William, for the the program today. What was great. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out the SpanglishWorld.ca for the news and programming. The Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it. Thank you all. See you next week.